Revy TV. I'm your host, Brian Christian, and it's good to be back. I came on a couple of minutes early today just to share a little bit with you before we get started. It's been a crazy week. That's why I haven't been on. It was an unexpected thing, last minute change. A couple of weeks ago, some dear friends of ours said, "Hey, we got an older truck for you. It runs pretty good. Why don't you, if you want it, fly out to the other side of the nation and go get it?" So I did, and it took me quite a while to get back here. It was a long drive and a lot of wrong turns and a lot of snow and ice. And to be perfectly honest, it was not the adventure I was looking for. But I made it home, and I'm just so grateful to be home after this long trip of over 2,500 miles. And welcome those that just came on. Say hi. I don't know who just came on until you comment. But yeah, it's been an interesting week, and I was just so happy to be able to be back and come back on to the broadcast and hopefully bring you guys some heavy revy and some simple truths that will aid you in your journey of discovery. So lately, I've been thinking about truth. What is truth? And I think I wrote down for this particular morning session. Hey, Daryl, good to see you, brother. Is we're talking about the purpose of truth, and we're going to look at stuff like, why are my truths always changing? What is truth? The purpose of truth. We're going to deal with the biggest struggles today when it comes to the purpose of why we're here and what does truth lead us into. The Spirit of truth came to lead us into all truth, but what if there is something beyond the knowledge of truth? All right? And so also how the mind is a mystery, and how it shifts through truths and lies, and how some lies is a setup for truth. It's kind of crazy. It's good to see you, Joseph and Deborah. And, so these are big questions. I see a lot of this on social media with everybody has their own truth, okay? And we're encouraged. You know what? That's not my truth. That's my truth. That's not your truth, that's my truth. My truth is not your truth. So respect my truth and I'll respect your truth. And I do believe there's some truth to that. But truth is not something that is knowledge based. Truth has nothing to do with knowledge. Very little. Almost kind of like working out. If you go to the gym and work out, but you live off McDonald's, you're not going to see much change. So when it comes down to percentages of an effective life change and health change, and let's say losing weight or gaining muscle, over 75% of your workout is your diet, not your pumping iron or doing cardio. Okay, so there's a higher percentage with your diet. And so I think a lot of times is we're trying to get truth in that 20 to 25% range rather than on the flip side. We're majoring on minors. So it all comes down to the intentions behind my pursuit of truth. And what am I really pursuing? Am I trying to get a truth to escape a lie? Am I trying to get a truth because I believe that I'm dumb if I don't, or that I won't be included if I don't, or I won't be likable, or I'll be alone? And so a lot of times it's the why behind the what in our pursuit of truth that really reveals the lies that we've been believing. And I think everything is actually being utilized to cancel out what's in the way, even though we might be pursuing from the wrong place, if that makes any sense, okay? And so, why are my truths always changing? And I think one of the things we can say about that is that because truth is not information, okay? As it says in the scriptures, knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. So the whole goal here is to get to the place of love. Now, I don't want to give you just a nice blanket statement that you hear a lot about. Just put on the new man. Just remember. Just become aware. Just wake up. And many of us are saying, okay, great. How do I do that? And nobody really has an answer. And they don't have an answer because they haven't answered it for themselves, or they're afraid you might not like the answer. So they keep it to themselves. We have to get beyond the need to over-explain truth, but yet at the same time, we don't want to give blanket statements that just cause people to perform. I mean, I know some really good grace teachers out there, but they don't give you a way to apply what they teach. And so they'll just say, well, you just need to let go of this and grab hold of that. And the rest of us are over here going, I've been trying to do that for years. I've tried every possible way to let go and grab hold, and all I'm learning to do through your grace message is to perform, which is the opposite of grace, okay? And so I'm going to do my best to try to just give you my own life experience, and for those of you that have either been there or are in it or on your way to it, you're going to bear witness to it. But before I do that, let's look at a couple of scriptures, huh? So in Psalms 85, we see, rather than reading the whole chapter, we're going to see that David here he's got a wrong perspective. He had a expectation. He had expectations in his life of what his life was supposed to look like, what God was supposed to do in his life, and now he's questioning, and he says, you have forgiven the iniquity of your people. You have covered all their sins. So he's saying the truth. But at the same time, he is trying to convince himself of a truth he doesn't yet believe. He says, verse 3, you have taken away all your wrath. You have turned yourself from the fierceness of your anger. Turn us, O God, of our salvation, and cause your anger toward us to cease. You see how he just contradicts himself right there. First, it's, we've been forgiven. We're one. We're in Christ, right? And then, you did, turn from your anger, God. You did turn from, wait a second here. God really wasn't angry in the first place. But there's some things in David's life that doesn't add up. So now he has this conclusion based on everything in his life that's coming out of a trigger, okay? And then he says, after he says, now God, really I want you to turn from your anger, even though I just said that, you've forgiven everybody. And then he's going to say after that, verse 5, will you be angry with us forever? Will you draw out your anger to all generations? In other words, he's not getting a lens change in everything he's praying about, everything he's talking to God about. He's not getting the answer. He's looking for a specific answer, and it's based in his own life. And I'd have to say around this time, he is still running from Saul. He's still hiding out. He's been anointed king. It all looked like it backfired. It all looked like it was a lie. All his prophetic promises look like that none of them are going to happen. How many times have we believed something and the opposite was happening, and we're claiming a truth we were holding on to before the opposite happened, and then all of a sudden we begin to question whether or not it was true. And so he's walking through this. Okay, will you not revive us again? Verse 6, that your people may rejoice in you. Show us your mercy, O Lord. Grant us your salvation. Well, wait a second. Verse 7, show us your mercy. Grant us your salvation. Wait. Verse 2, you have forgiven the iniquity of your people. You have covered all their sin. There's nothing you're holding against us, God, but now I'm going to cry out because things in my life don't look like they should look. All right? Now, I like how he begins to change here, because now he goes into another side of things. In verse 8 he says, I will hear what God the Lord will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people and to his saints. But let them not turn again to folly. The folly here is the opposite of peace. All right? Peace is a good indicator that you're actually bearing witness to truth. Truth, again, has nothing to do with getting the answers to your dilemmas. That usually comes after you're walking in truth and you're now getting bridges for other people to get a clue about truth. All right? But truth here, and let me just read on a little bit more. Verse 9, surely his salvation is near them that fear him, that glory may dwell in our land. Now, that word fear him, we've got to get rid of the concept here of fearing that God's going to get you and watch out and don't piss him off and all of that, because that's not what it's talking about here. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Grace and wisdom always operate together. So there's a strategy, there's a partnership, there's a co-laboring, okay? In other words, we're responsible to a degree of what we're creating in our own minds. Once we get the revelation, once we get the memo on this, that, oh, wow, I've been creating my own world, we can then choose to change a direction. All right? But I can't change a direction if I don't have peace. And I'm trying to get a truth. Because peace is the posture for truth to unveil itself. And truth is not facts. Truth is recognizing purpose. Okay? It has to do with purpose. Purpose right now in your life. Okay? Which might not be the purpose you're looking for, because the purpose you were looking for was to escape your anxiety and to bury your pain. And therefore, if that's what you do, if you're somebody who represses their pain, can't face themselves, then guess what? Every truth you pursue will not be based in peace, and you'll be trying to get a truth to find some peace rather than coming to peace to realize truth, which is purpose in everything you're currently walking through, right? That's really good, Sherry. She says, let me put that up there real quick. I'm going to put both of those up there because those are good. She says, peace is oneness. Peace is brokenness. Ooh, that is so good right there. All right. So you're either going to have just a piece of the pie. You're going to be dealing with your brokenness. You're going to be, half cocked. You're going to be, half baked, however you want to put it. Right. And peace being oneness is that everything came from God. We got to understand this. I'll talk about that in a second. The other one you said, Sherry, was helpmeet or helpmate. The helpmeet, Adam and Eve, is the oneness that connects us all. The helpmeet. Okay, that is the ego coming subject to the mind. It's God using your trigger-based thinking as experience to break open a purpose that now reveals truth that is filled with peace. Beautiful, beautiful. All right? That's really good. Now, he will speak peace unto his people. Now, I love this in verse 8 because the first key here of you getting the truth you've been seeking is by letting go of trying to find the truth. I know that sounds completely opposite, but you have to first let go of the pursuit that has no peace so you can understand what you're running from, so you can face it, so truth can spring out of the thing you faced. See, you're not going to find peace or truth over here by avoiding this back here. You're going to face that, and hidden within it is the very thing you've been looking for. The very thing you're running from is the very thing you've been looking for. It's all hidden. That's why Isaiah calls it treasures in darkness, okay? All right, and then it says, what I like about verse 8 here is he says, he will speak peace unto his people. You don't hear David saying, I've got to get this peace so I can tell his people. It seems to be that the way in which we get a truth is by mirroring where we're at with one another first. Seems like to me that it's actually focused on everybody else, not ourselves, even though everybody is ourselves in that posture. So yes, we're one, everybody is you, and so you're going to go to you in everybody that the Father leads you to, and you're going to see their situation that is your situation, but you can't see your situation because you're running from yours. But when you run into them, you get a bird's eye perspective of your own situation hidden in the person next to you, that when you are a point of contact for them, it fulfills the Isaiah 58 rule, which is to loose the bonds of wickedness, to let the oppressed go free, and then your healing shall spring forth suddenly. So these are postures, all right? Postures. And of course, we got to be careful they don't turn into methodologies. We can take anything and make it a religion, all right? It's seeking any truth you seek as fact to escape something you are in will simply lead you to chase your own tail, and it will become religion. Religion is anytime we pursue a truth without facing our pain. That's what creates religion. So any beautiful truth that sets you free can also put you in bondage, or keep you in bondage, shall I say. Can't really put you in bondage. It can only keep you there. Because everything that we've been kept in bondage to has come from the past, not the present. Really the first 7 years of your life, where you learned the program. Of course, if you want to find out all about that, I have my training course that you can get on the shift, which is available to you. Now, let's go on here. Verse 9, surely his salvation is near them that fear him, that glory may dwell in our land. Okay, so the fear of the Lord here is dealing with intentions. Again, bringing you back to discerning the why behind the what. Isaiah 11 says that his delight was in the fear of the Lord, and he didn't judge by eyes or ears, but in righteousness. You know, and so this is something that's important. Let me put this up here that Danielle just said. She says, yes, vulnerability in oneness with each other. Here comes truth for you and truth for me. Keys, keys, and more keys. Vulnerability in oneness with one another. That's where the peace is spoken to his people. Okay? So this is something that's good. I'm trying to give you some simple truths here, but at the same time showing you the mystery of the mind and the layers in which the mind is working itself out through all of these interactions. So there's nothing you have to fear when you've been believing a lie, because underneath that lie is the truth you've been seeking. And so the mind uses contrast to realize itself. All right? There ain't nothing wrong with it. It's when we come up with a notion or a conclusion on top of our need to pursue and what will happen if we don't, and what if we don't get what we thought we should have got. All of the little conclusions on top of these scenarios is what binds us and prevents us from seeing what is going on in our life. Okay? All right. So the fear of the Lord here is to discern the intentions, or what is driving you. So surely his salvation is near them that have discerned the why behind the what, what's really going on here with the unveiling of truth, what truth really is with coming to a place of purpose in the present embrace, or awareness and consciousness. That glory may dwell in our land. Surely his salvation is nigh them that fear him, that glory may dwell in our land. Okay, glory is connected to what? Identity. He's the Father of glory. That's why we named our ministry Father of Glory Global Ministries. It's because he is the Father of identity, because the wife is the glory of the husband, the crown and the glory. Okay, so glory is also connected with honor. All right, so it's being able to see eye to eye, being able to see heart to heart. Okay, being able to cooperate and collaborate with oneness. Okay, and be able to partner with that. Mercy and truth, verse 10, are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. So you see here, you can't have truth without mercy. You know, you can't have peace without righteousness, or righteousness without peace. There is a kissing of these things. Okay? Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Now, when you're looking at springing out, we have this vision of truth coming out of us and God looking down, or righteousness looking down. But there is no vertical nothing in reality. There is no measuring stick here. It's not about a sky god. This is all from within when it comes to lower thoughts higher thoughts. Okay? Conclusive, trigger-based thinking, mind of Christ thinking. Okay? And that kiss is an intimacy. Okay? It is an intimacy. It is an embrace. It is a preparation for consummation and conception. Okay? And this is the posture here. And so, if you're pursuing a truth without the backing of mercy, your truth will become rigid, religious information that is just something that you will continually perform to obtain. All right? So anything you got from that, you're going to know, because when you get a truth and you're like, yes, finally I got this truth I've been looking for my whole life, I'm here. And about a week later, you're right back in the thing going, oh man, I thought that was the truth, but my life hasn't changed. I don't feel any different. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Let's look at another scripture here, okay? And this is in John 18. I want to say 38. And this is where Jesus, he's been arrested. He's taken before Pilate. Okay, and Pilate's calling out to him, you know, are you the king of the Jews? Verse 34. And Jesus answered him saying, are you saying this of yourself, or did others tell you? Pilate answered, am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you unto me. What have you done? Jesus answered, my kingdom isn't of this world. Otherwise my servants would fight that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from here. Pilate therefore said unto him, are you a king? Jesus answered, you say that I'm a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause did I come into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth hears my voice. Pilate said to him, what is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again unto the Jews and said unto them, I find no fault in him. Okay, now, what's crazy is Jesus never tells him what the truth is. That's a perfect opportunity right there for Jesus to help convert Pilate, you know, to the gospel, right? Why wasn't Jesus being a great evangelist there, you know? Why wasn't he trying to convince? I mean, if you could convince Pilate, you could have turned that whole region to God, you know, if Pilate had woken up in that moment. But why didn't Jesus give him the definition of truth? Because Jesus himself couldn't give a definition, because there was no definition. Because it wasn't based in defining truth. It was based in bearing witness to truth. It was based in coming here to bear witness to something. All right? And I think the bearing witness is where there is the kissing of the consummation of reconciliation, of God looking at himself in a mirror through mankind. Okay? We got a lot of wonderful people out there and really good teachers and preachers. And we have some from what I would consider to be the last thing God was emphasizing. Okay? This would have been the drunken glory movement. This would have been, you know, some of the stuff back in those days, and a level of reformation in church fathers and all of that. And, you know, and I see a few out there, and they're really having a hard time with hearing about Christ consciousness, about oneness. And they're out there quoting church fathers, trying to keep everybody in the Trinity and focused on Jesus, but yet want to claim union and oneness, but yet not oneness. Well, we're one, but we're really not one. We don't need to complicate it. We really don't even need to over-explain it. We don't need to persecute what the Father is emphasizing now, because you're in the thing that was once emphasized, but now you've drawn a conclusion that God can't go any further than your theology. Okay? We're in a time right now where God is doing away with a lot of our theology, right? We're letting go of the theology. Now, that doesn't mean we won't have a level of order or direction. Obviously, we need that. We don't want to just be running around in circles, being double-minded. But we also don't want to be so rigid in what we believed. I mean, I'm all for researching church fathers. Don't get me wrong. But if my message can only be believed if I quote you a scripture or quote to you what the church father said, I probably don't know who the hell I am. And I probably have a fear of being rejected by the audience I'm trying to convince. And therefore, I need quotes all the time to be believable. No, all I need is a life that has fruit, and I share from my own life what's going on, and those that are in that place or walking through that are going to bear witness to a truth that I'm representing to you. And that's really what Jesus came to do. He came to wake up himself, and he came to be a mirror reflection example of how to walk in truth, which had nothing to do with doctrines, had nothing to do with conclusions, had everything to do with the Father, with every interaction, with consciousness. And I think we know when we become conscious. We might not catch it the first few times we come into that awareness. We just keep wanting to pursue to get another awareness rather than realizing what was clicking in our mind to cause us to be aware in the first place. What was going on in our life? Usually, all the opposites were going on. Usually, we had all these issues. We're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You know, it was only a shadow, but we thought it was a real valley, okay? And we thought we were really in it, but it was a shadow. It was conclusions of our mind being projected out as our realities, all right? Things we had believed in our own mind, okay? Pursuing from a wrong intention. But then what does it say in there? That I prepare a table in the presence of my enemies. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In other words, I walked through this process of shadows, of wrong perceptions, that is actually leading me to the truth. It's actually leading me to the truth. And for this cause, as Jesus said to Pilate, was I born. I came into this world to bear witness unto the truth. Now, I could give you the quantum side of this, and I could say, quantumly speaking or eternally speaking, God became self-aware. And in the infinite invisibility side of God, he could not mirror himself. And therefore, he slowed down to visibility and created a mirrored dimension in which he could become self-aware and begin to interact with himself as an echo of individuality or humanity spread across a virtual reality or simulation realm. I could tell you that, and it would be correct. And at one level, that helps you, because what it helps you to do is begin to posture now to come out of your pursuit of truth as facts and repressing and running from some of the things that are driving you to try to pursue truth and facts. And now you can kind of sit for a moment and go, okay, my life really isn't being threatened. I really am not as inadequate as I have concluded. I'm not as dumb as I thought I was. And that realm will allow me to posture long enough to say, okay, there's something deeper than what I thought. And now I can begin to turn. That's the four faces in Revelation, right? They don't need, let me say it this way, I don't really need to turn. But I can go and I can begin to look through the other faces. I can get sight on all sides. I can be four living creatures. I can be covered in eyes. I can begin to see from different perspectives, from a different view. Why? Because now mercy and goodness and mercy are following me all the days of my life. See, I begin to get hindsight of the journey. Okay. Let me look again at what I wrote. So, why are my truths always changing? Let me look at that for just a second. Why are my truths always changing? I believe the reason our truths are always changing is because you were never here to pursue a truth outside of experiencing Christ as one another. So that is the ultimate truth, is a lie leads you to desperation, to self-evaluation, that leads you to run out of gas in your ability to evaluate, that leads you out of the pride to keep it to yourself and into a desperation to look for help, that leads you to a divine connection and a reflection to build a bond, that leads you to walking together in that bond, that now creates an example and a prototype that others begin to watch and join in on, that leads you to gathering the parts and pieces of your mind that you left behind when you pursued truth, hidden in all these connections that came together because of a lie that you believed that you wouldn't face in the first place. Okay? Do you see how none of that was a threat to you? None of it was a threat. It all was actually working on your behalf. Okay? And your truth is always changing in that process and interaction. Okay? You know, we start out with valley experiences and mountaintop experiences, but eventually the mountains are brought low, the valleys are exalted, and you're walking on what? Level ground. Acknowledge him in all your ways, he will make smooth your path. What are you acknowledging? You're not sitting here claiming, okay, God's got my back, I'm standing on the promise. No, you're not standing on anything. That's not truth. That's you trying to stand on facts out of fear, and it must backfire, because otherwise you stay asleep and you're never conscious and you're never actually experiencing or bearing witness to the truth. Okay? So you do this for a while. Now here's the funny part. Somebody can tell you what I just said and you're struggling trying to claim the truth, and now, okay, I'm gonna now take what this guy said as fact, and I'm gonna stop trying to pursue the truth out of this place, and instead I'm gonna do the very same thing. just changing my verbiage. It's kind of like some of these people out here going, yeah, I don't believe in demons anymore, but now there's aliens and Nephilims, and so they've just traded one duality for another. They've just, there's not, oh, I believe there's only one spirit, but then there's these aliens over here trying to kill me, No, they're just shadows of everything you've still yet to reconcile with who you are fighting against you. There's only one spirit, one mind. Everything that we're fighting is within ourselves, okay? So your truths are always changing. Thank God they're always changing, because if they didn't, you would be stuck in religion. So our mind, what our mind does is because in the unrenewed parts of our mind, the parts of our mind that are still ego driven, anytime there's a light at the end of the tunnel of our desperation, we will grab it, hold on to it, protect it. It's a self-preservation mentality. And that truth now becomes who we are. But we're grabbing it out of this place of separation. So as long as you believe you're separated somewhere, you will pursue a truth to be reconciled. And in that reconciliation, you will make that truth your conclusion, your religion, and it'll work for a while until it completely backfires and frustrates you. It is any truth. I don't care how pure that truth is if it's coming out of the wrong intention. And this is why I tell people, look, I'm not saying that my methodology is the only way out there. I'm not saying that. But I am saying there are certain truths that just can't change. And that is, you got to face yourself. Okay? You got to face yourself. I don't care what form of inner healing you're doing. If you transmuting the emotional pain in your life is you just simply pushing away what your mind is believing and saying, that's not true. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. You can confess the truth all the time. It's no different than the name it, claim it, blab it, grab it, prosperity teaching of the charismania. It's the same thing. It's you avoiding you. In order to get truth on the inward parts, you have to face what you believed about yourself that is standing in the way. Your mind has a conclusion. And as long as it has a conclusion, it has a delusion, it has a reclusion, and it has an exclusion. Okay? And you will exclude the parts of you needed. It's like cutting off your own hands. Let's say the next season is the season of plenty, but you now need to take account for the plenty. So you're going to count the plenty that is right at your fingertips, but because you have a conclusion, you've cut off your hands and you're there with stubs trying to pick up the provision, and you're like, I don't understand why I can't apply this truth. All right? So the truth about you is hidden in your interaction with one another. It's hidden in simply living life's experience. It's not there to cross all your T's and dot all your I's. All your T's and all your I's are already crossed and dotted. Reconciliation isn't even about you reconciling like you think. Reconciliation is a remembrance. Okay? It's you realizing the simulation and now utilizing the matrix to bring forth the expression in which God exceeds himself. All right? All right. I don't think I even covered half of what I was going to share today. Okay, what is truth and the purpose of truth? Okay? Well, what is truth? Truth is everything you're at right now that is focusing you on the present embrace, on loving yourself, on loving others. That's the truth, the interaction. So really the purpose of truth is to find your purpose in the now interaction. That's all it is. Now, in that, you're going to get strategies of business ideas and ways in which to make money and ways in which to impact others and ways in which to communicate. All of those are side notes. We don't first try to get that to get a truth. We get a truth of being okay in our own skin. This is how simple it is. Am I happy with my marriage? Am I happy with my family? Where am I not happy with that? Okay, am I trying to change something to become happy, or am I trying to get the truth of the fact that, okay, everything came from God. Everything. I don't care what it is. People say, some people that believe in the devil believe that, oh, well, God, he rebelled against God. No, everything came out of God. God created all things. And without him, nothing was created that was created. So ultimately, everything came from within God. So if it came from God and God is good, then I have a wrong perception of what is going on in my life. Because I have a wrong perception, I am acting out that wrong perception, and I am living a lie of who I truly am, and therefore I'm living in an illusion I created for myself, or a reality that is not truly me. Okay, I'm living as an imposter. So we have to come out of being imposters to ourselves. All right, and you can't come out by saying, okay, I know now I'm an imposter, so now I'm going to stop being an imposter. I'm going to get the truth. No, you're going to stay an imposter, because all you're doing is reaffirming the imposter's way of doing it. All right. No, you're not going to try to do anything. You're going to let go of the doing. You're going to let go of the need of obtaining something. And you're going to realize that everything that you think is your enemy right now is actually only dealing with the conclusion of your own mind that's been your own enemy towards yourself. Just like Daryl Thomas just said, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Okay? And so, if you're being tossed to and fro, it's good, because it's the tossing that begins to show you, hey, that's double-mindedness. You don't need that anymore. All right? So truth here is really finding your present purpose in the embrace. That's all it is. It's real simple. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Mercy and truth. All right? Realizing that every truth that I haven't obtained is an act of God's mercy. And that every truth I've received without measuring up to get it is a revelation of mercy. Okay? And that my peace is based on the fact that I haven't screwed it up, because righteousness is at work in the midst of everything I've already thought I wasn't, that I should have been. And once I let go of that, I realize, oh, well, I'm already complete. This isn't about a scorecard or me obtaining or getting anywhere. This is about me exploring the adventure of the now. This is about me simply being. Now, this is a hard place to be when you've been taught you got to get somewhere. You got to do this to get this. Nothing is for free. There's always a string attached. Now, if we can just kind of starve that long enough by just being. Why do you think God puts you in situations you can't get out of? And you've been claiming it, and maybe you were in a season where everything was flowing. Now, why would we have that? Why would we have a season where we finally broke into something, we're all good and everything's great, and we're finally, we arrived. I'm done with that season. I'm finally, and of course, we tell everybody, right? Oh, now we told everybody. And maybe a few weeks later, all of a sudden, old thinking seeps back in. All of the old entrapments in our mind, all of the doubts start to come back in. Now we don't want to tell anybody that we got to keep this facade going, because if they don't believe us, now we're really, an imposter, right? Because it's all about what other people think about us, right? And so we set ourselves up in this. But don't you know that all that's happening right there is actually what is leading you to a truth you thought you obtained, but you only saw the surface of it in a conclusion of running from yourself to get the truth. And so yet, yes, it's there to backfire. Thank God it backfires. If it doesn't backfire, you stay in that mentality. Man, I've been a pursuer of truth for years. And I really don't try to pursue the truth. Why? Because here's the thing. The Spirit of truth shall lead you into all truth. Jesus said that, right? Spirit of truth shall lead you into all truth. And there's only one Spirit. You don't have some separate human spirit that needed to be awakened. You are the Holy Spirit in visible form. All right? So there's only one Spirit. So you are the Spirit of truth that is not here looking for a truth to be itself again, but looking for an unveiling of an expression as the Spirit of truth that doesn't lack a truth, to have an interaction and a visible expression and connection of that truth at a deeper level than simply being the Spirit of truth. Can you see that? Can you grasp that? You might have to rewind this part and play it again. So we're just simply looking for purpose. Are you in a place where you're like, I ain't got no purpose, I already did all that, I'm giving up, I don't even know, I'm done with truth? Good. You're now ready to hear the truth. And that truth, that truth has nothing to do with facts. Has nothing to do with Bible knowledge, has nothing to do with theology. When I was taken into this realm, and I had this encounter for 8 hours where I thought I had died. And I still, I don't know if I have post-traumatic from that or not, but or if it exposed it. But sometimes I'll be walking outside, and all of a sudden I'm like, not here, but I am. I'm looking at the simulation. I'm realizing a quantum experience, and I'm always tempted. So I look back behind me as I'm walking to see if my body's on the ground, and I already done left. But really, I don't have a body. I am living in a simulation. But in this simulation, I don't disregard the simulation. I don't disregard the simulation. Otherwise, I'm in denial. See, the moment I have to just say, this is a simulation, you are all just my subconscious, there's a truth there. We're all just mirroring oneness. There's a truth there. But I also said yes to step into a dualistic realm of forgetfulness, to put on a blindfold, to walk through a contradiction, to walk through a pursuit of truth from the wrong intention, that would lead to an unveiling of union, even in that, you see, it's impossible to screw it up. And the more we get that, the more we can participate in the matrix without being entangled within it. And where we are entangled, we come out with the riches of the glory of the inheritance in the saints, right? Okay. All right, so some of the biggest struggles today when it comes to the purpose of why you are here and what does truth lead you into, I'm pretty sure I covered that. You're here to express life. You're here to express love. You're here to express what the invisible, infinite God could not. And I look at it this way. God's always been, and we've always been, unconditional love. But in the invisible, it was simply pure love, putting on a realm or a matrix or a simulation of conditions to manifest unconditional love through the journey of fear that made manifest perfect love. Right? So unconditional love isn't the absence of accountability or the absence of structure. Okay? It's really the absence of bullshit, if I can say it like that. Okay? And you guys know me. I don't cuss a lot. But let's just say it as it is. You know? Unconditional love is the absence of bullshit. Sound good to you? Sounds good to me. You know, we need to let go of conditional love without being codependent and calling it unconditional love. I did a teaching last time I was on, and I'll be perfectly honest. I love the scriptures, but the Jewish people were beat down people that were always subservient to other nations because of their idolatry, the twisted view of their perception of themselves and God. Okay? When Jesus is telling them, turn the other cheek, I don't think he was telling them to subject themselves to narcissism. I think that he led them in the beginning saying, okay, you know what? You guys are used to being subject as victims, and you're used to just complying with narcissists. So you know what? Let's start there. Go ahead. I'm going to command you to go under that and get the hell beat out of you some more and keep turning the other cheek and don't have a voice and keep getting spit on. And you know, I'm going to tell you, you know, that this is really persecution. Not because I believe you're being persecuted for righteousness' sake, but because you believe it, that's what's happening. Have we ever thought that what Jesus was telling them really wasn't his instructions, but his exposure of what they believed sometimes? And that the whole being silent and just taking everything everybody says and being the welcome mat is actually probably one of the most dysfunctional things you can do. But here's the thing. You can't start out saying, I'm not going to put up with that crap, because you're probably guarding lies you believe, pain. You're still needing to prove yourself. So from that place, you got to be a welcome mat in the beginning to surface all the crap where you think you need to defend yourself. And when all of that is dealt with by going within, using the external to deal with the internal, you now graduate from this codependent love that we've, of course, given that blanket statement of this is unconditional love, be spit upon. Okay? So that later on, it all builds up out of the bitterness of never having a voice, and then you grab the hell doctrine and you condemn everybody that came against you later on to hell because you finally just blew your lid because you've been repressing it under codependent love of, oh, I'm just letting bless them, Lord. Bless them. I just pray for them. But you don't mean it because it's all bull crap. It's all crap. We've just been trying to convince yourself. Okay? This is something we just got to let the rubber meet the road here. Right? Can't we just be real and quit sweeping things under the rug because we're afraid what people will think? I don't give a crap about what people will think. And the reason I don't is because I actually have learned to love myself and accept myself. When I didn't love myself I told everybody what I thought they needed to hear that would not backfire on me. You know, hey, I'll make peace, not war. I'll say something that doesn't ruffle people's feathers too much because I want them to like me, because I really don't like myself. Of course, I'm going to try to, be relatable and not be an ass about it. That's obviously, I don't want to be an ass about things. I'm not trying to be mean to people. That's not my intention. But sometimes we just need to shake it up a little bit and say, hey, what's your freaking problem? Be real. Be real with each other. We can do that with siblings, right? With natural family. We go home, we can be real, we can tell them, we can go to our siblings, most of us can, and say, hey, what's your freaking problem? I don't get what's your problem? But yet we can't do it with anybody else. And then we categorize. Well, that person's a stranger. I thought we were one. No, I'm not saying go meddle in other people's business. I don't meddle in people's business. I don't give advice unless it's asked. And sometimes when it's asked, I still don't give advice because I see that they're looking for a loophole. So I'll simply ask them a question and let them answer their own question. Jesus did that a lot. Okay? But you invade my space and you try to put something on me? I love myself enough to say, I'm not betraying who I am so that so I'm more acceptable to you. No, I'll tell you where to put it. I'll tell you where to stand. I'll tell you to back up. I'll move my space. All right? I'll correct you. That's also love. Okay? But I ain't correcting you to get you to be me. I'm correcting you to let you know that this is my space and this is where I love me. Okay? So you're going to turn the other cheek by going from your left brain to your right brain. You're going to go from your intellectual ego mind into the Christ mind. That's the other cheek you're going to turn. And we're going to learn how to love. Okay, I know I got completely off topic here. But remember, it says in Scripture that we speak the truth by love. So love has to be the foundation of truth. And love is an action word of experience and of relationship, not a, chalkboard, college education, school's in session kind of thing. All right? Okay, so the Spirit of truth comes to lead us into all truth. We talked about that. All right. But what if there is something beyond the knowledge of truth? I'm giving you the knowledge of truth right now. And it's going to hit you at a certain level. So is there truth in knowledge? Yes. If I'm not pursuing it to get knowledge, to cover up where I believe I'm an idiot, if I'm not doing it that way, then that knowledge of truth does not pump me up. Knowledge puffs up, love edifies. If I have learned through my pursuit of truth to come to the end of my presumption of truth, to come into a now embrace of just simply experiencing life and experiencing love, then I can now gather truths that are knowledge from that and the knowledge of the holy. That knowledge is not the knowledge that puffs you up. What does it say? Get wisdom, get understanding, get knowledge. It says it in Proverbs. In all you're getting. Okay? So there is a knowledge that is good knowledge. And it's a knowledge of seeing the truth of love and interaction in your journey of what you came out of, all the facades of trying to claim a truth out of the wrong intention. So once I do that, now I can present a knowledge that allows you to posture yourself to no longer be a pursuer of truth or an explainer of truth in your own mind to try to figure things out, but more of an embracer and a bearing witness of truth as an interaction, as a life lived. Okay, reading between the lines. And then you can get up and you can say, let me give you some truth here. Let me give you some truth about the Spirit of truth that already knows all things and isn't here to accumulate truth, but is here to express truth at multiple levels. And that's the truth. That's the truth that sets you free. 1 John 2:20 says, you have an unction from the Holy One and you know all things. You already know it. You know it at the level of divinity as spirit. But your humanity is now going to enter into the experience and the expression of it where God is meeting himself in everyone. Okay? And God is become self-aware. So if I come down to the basis of the purpose of truth, again, lies I have believed is a setup for me to pursue a truth from the wrong intention. The pursuit of truth from the wrong intention and self-preservation, in which I'm trying to prove me to me, or prove me to others, or prove me to God, leads me on a spiral of supposed failure and defeat, which is also a truth that is there fighting my conclusion of truth that's knowledge-based, to bring me to an epiphany of giving up on seeking truth, to realize the truth of embrace, of consciousness, of relationship, of all the people that came against me when I was pursuing truth, but those who believed in me while I was pursuing truth, that was really revealing where I was coming against myself and needed to love myself, which was really the truth. Right? And that's some good truth there. So you eventually cross over from the need to pursue truth, and you realize you're the spirit of truth that is bearing witness to a truth that's always been in front of you. And that truth is, nothing in your life can separate you from the truth. And everything that appears to separate you is actually only there to break the conclusion that is the separation. And it's the conclusion of you. And that is the lie, that you're separated. But all your conclusions about yourself that stem all the way back here to when your character was being developed, your mindset was being developed as a child, that's the place where you believed in separation. And so all the things you heaped on of scriptures and experiences in your today's world, or your life today, is all stemming from all of these things that we look back on and think are little things. Well, I was a kid back then. You know what, I now understand, my parents were wounded, and so it's not a big deal. Now my left brain, my intellect, is now in denial of the affirmation that my emotional belief still needs. So now I deny myself by denying, by appearing to be merciful and graceful. I supposedly forgive my parents. But I'm only doing it looking back intellectually, where I've learned to guard my pain all the way up and lie to myself by not validating myself and by muzzling myself. And so now I justify that, and I claim happy thoughts, and God loves me, and I'm love, and I'm just going to keep confessing that until the next time I'm triggered. And guess what? I'm going to be again and again and again. But if the next time I'm triggered, I say, you know what? This trigger isn't bad. This is good. This is truth. There's a truth here. I'm going to feel that. I'm going to embrace that. Now, my emotions believe something different than my intellect. So I'm going to feel that lie I believed about myself. Yep, it's a lie. I'm not going to try to talk myself out of it. I'm not going to try to pray my way through it. I'm not going to try to get so whacked in the highest realm of the fifth dimension to avoid it. I'm not even going to pursue an answer to this outside of what I believe emotionally about it. I'm going to feel it until I realize how bound I am to that lie I believed. And I'm going to let that darkness surround me to where my eyes adjust to that darkness. Why? Because that's also truth. You see? And as I'm in this darkness, it's not going to take a lot of light. It's just a little flicker like a cigarette lighter. If you're in a pitch black darkness for long enough and your eyes adjust, you just flick a little lighter and you're going to wince. It only takes, what is that, 2 watts of light from a lighter? 2 watts of light that blasts out your darkness in that moment because of the contrast. And so you're going to feel that. And you're going to let the Father take you to that place where you believe the lie because your mind is stuck there. Doesn't matter how much you confess light and life and truth. All you're going to do is repress that if there's a conclusion back here. So then you simply let truth come in over there. And you let the Father use your present situation to expose these past conclusions and transmute them. And that's when you're completely free. And not just free, but underneath all those conclusions back there is also the opposite thing that you've been searching for in the present. And now you can get that truth. Now the lights go on and we go, oh, this really wasn't about people hating on me. This was about me hating on me. This really wasn't about being ignored. This was about me repressing. Okay, now I see it. Now I can utilize the matrix. Now I got the codes to skip some levels in this video game and go to the higher levels. I can now redeem the time. I can now bypass some of the supposed process of things I thought I had to go through to get somewhere, and I can just simply enter in. I don't have to wander for 40 years in the wilderness when it's really only an 11-day journey. You follow me? But I can't bypass the process of facing myself. And so whenever you're in a situation where you're frustrated with truth, and what is the truth? And I thought this was the truth I was believing. And now my truth is changing. I don't even know what to believe. And how do I know what's being spoken right now is the truth? Because the last truth is now a lie. Well, at one point, that truth was a truth. Think about all the truths you received back in your religious days that you would feel God. You would feel like, yes, I feel so blessed. That's the truth. I remember every time I'd hear a sermon that would hit me in the right place back in the first 10 years of being a Christian in those early days. Oh, I threw away all the other ones. Oh, all the other stuff is a lie now. This is the truth. And I'd keep just throwing things out. What if all of it was truth where you needed to be that was actually dealing with your mind at a subconscious level, at a historical level, and beginning to whittle away at all of that self-preservation? And it was a truth you needed that was leading you to an unveiling in a whole new way of thinking that would eventually evolve into the truth of just simply embracing life, living life, loving, finding the best in people, utilizing every situation to be a blessing and a benefit to others. Even if it's telling them, what's up. Okay? So I hope that this word today, I hope I didn't confuse you more in what I shared today, but I want you to understand that the lies, the truths that you once believed that now when you look back look like a lie, isn't really a lie. It just means you graduated from that level of truth that you were at. Okay? And that level of truth was leading you from an intellectual truth of information to an experiential truth of formation and of unveiling and of allowing you to be the real you. Okay? And you'll know when you've accessed a truth that sets you free, because it's a peace that surpasses your own understanding, and it keeps your own mind and heart in Christ. There's no separation. Any truth you have that only works for a while, and either increases the lie of separation, I'll just say it increases it. Wasn't a truth wasn't a truth at the more fuller place of being truth. It was a truth that was used as a hook in your ego to begin to drain the ego's ability to self-preserve, that would then lead you to an experiential truth, more as a testimony of grace, more as a life lived, rather than a knowledge base of information. And so let's let truth come in the form of love that edifies, not information that puffs up. Amen. I hope this message has blessed you. I have changed the time. I have not updated the banners, which said, I believe, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have moved it to 11 a.m. on Thursdays. And again, we're back on schedule for Monday nights at 7, I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Thursday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will be back this next Monday. And if you'd like, please like and share this video. Check out our website. The information is above right there at www.foggm.org. And if you'd like to help us out and, trade, sow, donate, give, we really appreciate it. This whole traveling thing to pick up the truck drained a lot more than I thought. It was freezing. Minus 11 degrees. I'm doing 25 miles an hour. So I ended up using because of snow and ice, I ended up using way more money on gas. Ended up having to stay at all these hotels. It pretty much drained us. So if you want to bless us and help us, we appreciate that. I also have the shift training. I have not gotten a chance to put it on the website yet. It will be made available. For now, go to the PayPal. There's a place you can put in a note, say you want the shift training. It's downloadable. You get 85-page workbook that's downloadable in PDF or doc, and you get over 12 hours of teaching on how to posture with a lot of what I just shared today, with the mind, with triggers, with beliefs, transmuting them, and a lot on the mind. The course is a minimum donation of $175, and you can go ahead and pick that up. And we're going to eventually make it available to where people can get their own link. And if they want to spread the word, whoever buys my course through your link, I'll give you $50. And we're working on doing that as well. So if you'd like to do that, you can go to our website, go to the donation page, just put in shift training. I'll get the memo. I'll send you an email, and you'll get a link. You download all of it in your through your email. Okay. I love you guys. I appreciate you, and we'll see you Monday. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye bye for now.